What's up, guys? Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the cool programming environment of Unity. Those of you that don't know what Unity is, it's basically a 3D game development system. However, you can incorporate aspects of augmented reality, virtual reality, and then with those you can do mixed reality. We can also incorporate things like Arduino. That's what we're going to be looking at, or at least the beginnings of it, coming up right here, right now on MI Sperry. Okay, guys, so as the intro stated, what we're going to be taking a look at today in this video is going to be just kind of getting our feet wet with Unity. Many of you may not know what Unity is, or maybe you've just seen it, but it just looked so complicated that maybe you left it alone. I know I was one of those people. But it actually is not that complicated. Once you understand the fundamentals, it's actually fairly quick and easy to do stuff in. I'm sure there is way more knowledge than what I'm going to share. This is just my experience with it. I am by no means an expert, okay? But I think what I'll share with you will get you started on the right foot and help you get going in this and maybe explore on your own and find some really cool stuff that this software can do. So now, I went ahead and downloaded Unity Hub is what this is called, and it's basically kind of like a launcher for Unity. On the installs section, I did an add and installed the latest. So I'm running as of this video because they change stuff all the time and it makes things not work that used to work and stuff like that. So I'm cautioning you now. If you watch this video later, I'm only running Unity version 2019 4.0 F1, and it is the LTS, okay? Now, what all does that mean? Don't know, but that is the version that I am running, okay? Now, when you choose to install, what we're going to be doing, at least for me, is I'm going to be running Arduino platform, Android platforms is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using, ultimately, it won't be in this video, but ultimately we'll be using AR goggles and or VR goggles, whatever these are called. I cut a slot out so that the camera can stick out on this so we can do AR stuff. But basically the platform I'm going to be using is going to be the Android platform, okay? I have a Motorola Z, I believe. Motorola Z is what this thing is. I can't remember exactly what version, but it's basically running Android version 8 is what we're running on this guy. So that is going to be our setup. Now, you can use iOS, you can use Linux, you can use Macintosh, you can use Windows. You can use any of those platforms, and the setup is somewhat similar. However, there will be some variances. We're going to be testing today on the Android, okay? So in order to do that, you're going to have to check mark Android build support. What this will do is it will install the JDK and all the other components for developing Android applications, okay? Now, it comes defaulted with iOS build support. Why not? I may, depending on how this video does, if you guys let me know that you'd like to see stuff for iOS, I do have some iPads, so I'll be able to test that out so we could do that. I also did the Linux build support, and then universal workstation support. That's pretty much all that I did, and then you hit done. Now, once that happens, it will install the platform, and it will show you, based on these little icons, what this build of Unity supports, okay? So Windows, Linux, iOS, and Android. So that's what mine supports. So once you get that installed, now you're ready to go back to projects and create a project. Now, I've been playing around with AR Core, which is Google's augmented reality system, as well as been playing around with communicating with Arduinos. We'll get into those in more advanced videos. Hopefully, once those videos come out, I'll put cards or something to show you it. So that way, if you already know how Unity works, you can just skip ahead. But for this video, we're going to be doing the basics. So I'm going to go ahead and do a brand new Unity project. Now, the one that I'm going to be using is going to be a three-dimensional one. I'm not going to be doing 2D because you can create 2D or 3D games. So basically, if you want to create side scrollers or something like that. But for us, we're going to stick with learning on the 3D side because eventually we'll be moving into augmented reality and things like that, which you need the 3D side for. So I'm just leaving it in the default location where you can put it. We're going to name it beginning Unity. Sure, let's do that. So I'm going to hit create. Okay, and just like that, there we go. So now you have basically a default view here. Now, we're not going to do anything super fancy. We're just going to do something very simple, and that's changing the color programmatically of an object. All right. So you get these two different little components here is what you have. Now, let me, hold on, I'm going to have to move me. I'm in the middle now, so that way you guys get to see. I may move myself around as we do things. So what we got is we have these different assets, and when you click on these different things, it will give you information about it over here in the inspector panel. Now, I left mine basic, so you can see what the basic layout of Unity looks like. This is the camera. So in 3D space, here is the camera, and how you move around this 3D space is by I'm clicking my middle mouse button, or basically the scroll wheel allows me to switch to the pan tool. And see this up here in the upper left hand corner here, you've got the hand tool, you've got a rotate tool if you need to rotate things, you've got a dimensional tool, I don't think that's what it's called, rect tool. What that does is allows you, if you put a rectangle down, you can resize it moving around. We'll get into that later. You got a bunch of different tools like on your toolbar, but the nice thing is you can switch to them with shortcuts. Now you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. You can click and hold and pan around. You can also control, I think it's control click. No, yeah, control right click. And that allows you to look around. So I'm holding down the control key when I do that. And that allows me to kind of look around in the environment. Now, this is what's considered a scene, okay? You can have multiple scenes in your video game. A lot of us equate that to like the levels. So different levels are different scenes. As you can see up here, we're in simple scene. Now, normally those are all usually saved inside the scenes folder under here, under your assets, okay? Now, you can create as many folders as you want. You can right click and choose to create and folder, and you can do whatever you want to do so far as organizing. That creates the folder structure in that default folder that we started with when we created the whole project out of the Unity Hub launcher. Okay, so now our main camera, it shows us where it is looking. So if you can see this, it's basically looking off into space. See this giant window here? You can see where it is actually focused, where it is actually looking. That's the look space of the camera, okay? Which is very large, all right? So now what I'm going to do is I am going to move around here. So I'm going to move around so I can see my camera. And then you have a light source, so that way it does shading and stuff like that. You can delete the light source, you can keep it, whatever. We're going to keep it, because I'm not going to do anything fancy. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're just going to change the color of an object. So I'm going to right click and we're going to choose 3D object, and let's go with a sphere. Okay, so there is a nice sphere, and you can click and drag things around. See how these arrows highlight depending on whether I'm in the X, Y, or Z plane. All right, so red is X plane, Y is the obviously Y plane, green is the Y plane, blue is the Z plane. If I want to see how this sphere is going to appear, I can click on camera and see I get this nice little camera view right here. So if I need to, I can move this thing around. So like I could bring it down a little bit, maybe bring it over a little bit and see what it looks like. Now, another way that I can get kind of a preview of what it's going to look like is using this game view. If you click on this, this is literally what it will look like when it's loaded onto your phone. Now, a lot of people will click, hold the shift key, break this out, and put it on the side like that. Now, how I did that was I click and held, which breaks it out, and then if I hold the shift key, I can dock it. So a lot of people will choose to dock it next to, so that way they can see, or dock it below, like so that way I can play with it, see, and I can play with it in the builder, which is in the scene, and then watch what it's going to look like in the actual view. Okay, so there's our sphere, front and center. Let's move it up a little bit. There we go, front and center. That's what we want, because we're going to change the color of it. I'm going to squeeze this down a little bit. I don't need that much real estate. So now, to change the color of it, we need to write a script. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to, let's say, create a folder. And we're going to call that scripts. Okay. Now inside of scripts, we're going to go ahead and create a new C# script. We're going to call this, let's call it just color manager. Okay. Now, there's two different ways that we can do this. What I'm going to do is, in this way, I'm going to assign this color manager to my sphere, okay? So this code is going to run on this sphere, all right? So I'm going to take this and just drag it and drop it onto the sphere, okay? Now, if I click my sphere, you'll notice that I have this color management script is now a part of the sphere, okay? Now, we need to write some code. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now I've installed Visual Studio 2017 community version, okay? And it's launching on my other screen. I apologize for that, but here we go. So I've got 2017 basically that I'm using this in. So what it does is it's going to include the namespace, the using Unity engine, okay? So it's going to use that. So now, just like it says, this is now a new class called color management or color manager. You have, just like Arduino, this is literally just like an Arduino. It's pretty cool, actually. It's very simple for those of us that program Arduino. You have a start function, which obviously runs when the program runs, and then that's it. Once the start function completes, it then moves to the update function. Now, it, just like the comment here says, it updates once per frame. So whatever your frame rate is, once per frame, it's gonna update, okay? So now, before we start really writing some code, what I wanna do is I wanna make sure that we build this for Android. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to File, Build Settings, okay? Then the build settings that come up, it always defaults to, I believe, PC, Mac, and Linux standalone. We want to switch to Android. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna say switch platform. This is gonna switch us to the Android platform, okay? It'll take a minute to get it all set up. It'll tell me now that I switched platforms, I need to reload my code, even though we haven't started anything. That's fine, say reload. So now we have switched the platform to Android. So now we can basically compile code. Now, before we leave for this demo, what we're gonna do is, up here it says scenes in build. So basically you can build either a level at a time or you can build all the levels at a time. And so what we're going to do is right now, sample scene is our currently open scene. So if we say add open scenes, it's going to add that one to it. And of course you can turn it on or off if you want it to build when you tell it to build the actual app. Okay, so now that's pretty much all the settings that we're going to do for that for now. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to change the color of this. It's going to start out gray, but I want to change it to, let's say, blue, and then maybe I don't know, have it wait a little bit and then change to another color. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So now what we need to do is we need to initialize it with a color, okay? So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do a get component, okay? And then renderer, okay? So we wanna get the component renderer, and then we wanna take and get the material dot color that it is, okay? So now what this corresponds to, if I click on my sphere here, so there's always a mesh renderer, a sphere collider, which really we don't need. That's if you're going to implement physics. Right now we don't need to do that, so really that doesn't need to be there. And then of course we've got our script that's on there. So these are all different components of the sphere, okay? So our materials is what we're getting a hold of, is we're going to get a hold of the material, and then we're, you know, right now it's set to default material. Basically, we're going to be getting a different material, and we're going to set it to our own color. Now we're using the get component way of doing this, which means since I have this script is attached to this specific blob, this object that I have, which is our sphere, since it's attached to that, all I have to do to be able to get the properties of this object or get any information about that object is just say get component. That's literally the first part of it, okay? And then of course I've got renderer in the inner pieces because that's what I'm wanting to grab a hold of. I'll show you here in a second. There's a little alternate way that if we have multiple objects, to place a script down and have one script control all the objects instead of having to like duplicate your code, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to set this equal to, and we're just going to pick a color. Color dot green. Sure, why not? And this is C#, so obviously you got to do semicolons on the end. So that's what we're going to do in our start. So this is kind of like the Arduino, start code. So now in our update code, we're going to get a little bit more complicated because we need to figure out what we're going to do is we're going to make it where when you touch the screen, it's going to change color. Okay. So in order to do this, we need to do a few different things. First, we need to figure out if someone has touched the screen. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say for each, and then I'm going to declare a variable of type touch, and we're going to name it, my touch. Why not? Input dot touches. So basically for every touch, every time you tap the screen, it's going to execute code. So that's our for each. Okay. So every time we get the input of touches, we're going to do something. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if it's just a tap, because there's many different things you can do. You can check to see if it's a tap and a hold. You can see if it's a tap and a slide, like if someone's swiping the screen. There's all different times. We just want to tap. If you singly tap the screen, that's what we want to know. So we're going to check for that. So we're going to do an if our my touch dot phase. The phase is what phase is it in? Has someone just touched the screen? Are they keeping their finger on the screen? Are they holding it there? Have they touched it and moved it? What have they done? So that's what we're doing by checking this touch phase. Is the touch phase equal to touch phase dot, and then here's all the different ones. Is it been canceled, ended, moved? Is it stationary? Like, are they just holding their finger on the screen? Basically, what is it? Ours, we just want to look for begin. Has someone began to touch the screen, which would be the same thing as like a tap. Okay. So as it began. So now after we check that, now we need a way of keeping track of which color we're in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and create another variable up here above in our public class here. I'm just going to call it int color state. We're going to set it equal to 0. That's going to keep track of our states. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to say if our color state is equal to 0, basically it's the initial value, then we're going to get our component render, and we're going to get the material color, and we're going to set it equal to, we'll keep it set equal to green. So color green. All right. And then we will update our color state. Color state will now equal 1, let's say. So now let's do that one. So now else if our color state, oops, helps if I can spell. If our color state equals a 1 now we're going to change it around. I'm just going to copy this stuff. There we go. Except I'm going to change it up. Now we're going to change it. Instead of being green, we'll change it to blue. And then we'll set this back to 0. Okay? So see how that's going to work? I think I've got one too many dealies here. Yeah, I've got one too many dealies. So basically, we're going to check to see if it's 0, if it's initial. Then we'll just keep it green. If it's different, if we've changed it, then it'll become 0. And so that way we'll keep track of what state is in. Is it blue or is it green? Okay. So now let's write that and save it. We move back. So now the next thing that we need to do is you can do one of two things to build this. You can take and say file, build settings. You can say build, and when you do, it's going to ask you where to save the APK, okay? So there's our app package. I'm calling it begin utility. I can put it right here. Or, wherever you want to put it. You can put it on your desktop, whatever. Now, when it does that, you will have to somehow get it over onto your device and install it. Okay. So you can do that many different ways. I'm not going to go into it. You can look at how to install stuff, or install apps, external apps on your phone. The other way to do it is to turn your phone into a developer phone and turn on USB debugging. Okay, so look at how to do that. I'm not going to go over that here, but turn on USB debugging on your phone. It's very simple to do. Just look up how to enable USB debugging. You'll find it. Tons of videos out there. Enable USB debugging, and then all you have to do is, with that enabled, plug in your phone USB to your PC, and then you should be able to say build and run. It'll ask you where to save it. Then it's going to now build our application. This is just a test phone that I have some apps and stuff on. And what it's going to do is it will go ahead and build it, and we should see it go. In fact, I'll just switch views here, so that way we can watch it. There we go. Now it's done building, so here it comes. So there's Unity. So there is our green little ball. Now, if I touch it, it should change color. And it does. As you can see, when I tap the screen, it changes the color of it. So there we go. So that is all I have for this first intro video. I know I did it very fast. Next video, we're going to be checking out how to do multiple objects on the screen and how to use one script to control this type of touching and type of control of multiple objects on the screen using one script. I just want to show you that because it will help with the other stuff. So we'll save that for another video. I'm sure this one has gone long enough. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and also ring the bell. You got to ring the bell because otherwise you won't get notified when the next set of videos are coming out. Definitely hit that like button. Definitely comment down below. Let me know what you think, what you thought was great, what you thought was bad. Love to know your thoughts from you guys. All right, with that, guys, check out the t-shirts on the channel. Check out all the different links down below, and I will talk to you next time.